ask you this. Let's pretend we don't know that that's behind us, and let's like freak out like there's someone behind us. So do you know what I'm saying?
Whoa! You scared me. Whoa!
You made me jump like 10
What?
feet here.
You know, I knew it was going to happen, and I still freaked out. Hey guys, this is the 4th ever episode of #AskProLife. My name is Phil. I make video for Students for Life.
I'm Tina. I'm the Executive Vice President of Students for Life.
Which one day we're going to figure out
what that is. I feel a lot of cracks.
So before we start the episode this week, I want you to look down below, and if that subscribe button is red, I want you to click it. Okay.
What if it's not red?
That means they're already subscribed.
Good job.
Yeah. The topic of the week this week is the abortion industry has betrayed women, and we're going to talk about how.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So they've betrayed women in a lot of different ways. The abortion industry itself, and then Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood has been talked about a lot, so we can kind of go through those really quickly. But everything we talk about, of course, Phil knows how to do the magic links below, so he will magically link below.
Okay, so the first thing is double billing Medicaid.
Okay, so this is one that actually, this is a Planned Parenthood one that was investigated in the state of Texas, and they were in fact caught double billing Medicaid, and they settled with the state of Texas out of court. But here's the thing about how this betrays women. When anyone double bills Medicaid, that means that one woman who obviously is in a financial situation to need Medicaid got one service, and then Planned Parenthood billed for 2 of those services, for instance. And so basically what that is doing is taking money out of the pocket of Medicaid so that other women, or maybe that woman herself, can't fund other future services. And so basically it's, to say they serve impoverished women and yet are stealing money from those same women by double billing Medicaid. Not good.
It's not good. And then sex abuse.
So sex abuse is another one that Live Action did a whole series of undercover sting videos. And so uncovered that Planned Parenthood specifically was covering up sex abuse, and so we can link that below. But another one, it's hard because we do focus so much on Planned Parenthood, but some of these things are abortion industry overall. And so I'm going to throw one case out there. This was actually in 2006, but Lawrence Reich had his medical license revoked in 2006 because he was caught sexually molesting his abortion patients. So his license was taken away for that, and then actually they came back later and found that he was still performing abortions without a license. Not good.
Yeah, and that segues well into another topic: performing abortions without licenses.
So there's different kinds of licensing when you talk about performing an abortion, because you've got the doctor who needs a license to be a doctor to perform medical procedures, but then staff has to be licensed as well. Right. So if they're doing an ultrasound, the person that's running it needs to be licensed. You can't just willy-nilly learn how to do that and go with it. Yeah. And also the surrounding team, so the nurses or assistants also have to be licensed to help with performing the abortion. So this goes back, to Gosnell. In his clinic, he was using interns who didn't even have a degree in medicine to help him perform abortions. And one was actually snipped the back of the neck of one of the babies and got in trouble for that. So it happens in abortion clinics. But something I found really fascinating, I don't know what we call them, trunk abortionists? I don't know.
Okay.
All right, trunk abortionists. So there were 3, actually in October of this year, people who were performing abortions out of the trunk of their car without a license. So I thought this was interesting that 3 were uncovered in 1 month. I had never heard of this before or of any cases of this before, so it was really fascinating to me. So here, I'll tell you the 3 instances that happened in October. So Michael Roth in Michigan, He was arrested for doing abortions out of his home or in the private homes of his customers, I guess. So out of the trunk of his car, he was bringing his stuff in and performing abortions. When they raided his house, this is a little Gosnellish, they found 14 containers that they believed contained the bodies or pieces of aborted babies.
It's like an American Horror Story.
Yeah, like a serial killer.
Yeah, like
who
with jars
takes
in the
pieces.
basement. Yeah.
And that was a big part of the Gosnell thing, is that he had all those feet in jars and babies in freezers. So that was Michael Roth, Michigan. South Carolina, they were doing a routine traffic hour stop type thing, and some people came through, and they were driving in a mobile abortion clinic, and in this bus, I guess they called it a bus, they found blood and tissue covered tools. And so this was an unlicensed abortionist and his wife who were doing they call it a mobile abortion bus.
It's very serial killer-esque.
Yeah, traveling from state to state. Now, this one I find the most fascinating, actually. So Las Vegas, again, it's all in October. Rick Van Thiel. He watched YouTube videos. I mean, there's a lot you can learn on YouTube, don't get me wrong. We've all gone to YouTube when you like
Ask Pro-Life, for example?
Yeah, like, I don't know how to do it. I bet you there's a YouTube video on that. So he was like, I want to help women by performing abortions. So I'm going to learn it on YouTube and get my YouTube abortionist license, which is unlicensed. So he learned how to perform abortions via YouTube, and then he went to Craigslist to find his patients. So he was also busted for illegally performing abortions, and then also other medically related charges. I guess he was selling himself off as some sort of like holistic doctor. Probably learned it all on YouTube. Mind blown.
The last thing is, well, not the last thing, there's a whole lot of others, but the facilities are dirty. Yeah,
so again, this is like an across-the-board abortion industry type thing that we found. I love this article, and it's kind of old, but everything still stands. Our friends at Operation Rescue do a lot of research on what's going on at all the abortion clinics across the country. So you can go to their website, and you can find all kinds of information about different abortionists in your state and what's going on. So it's really fascinating. But they have some pictures and different things up, but you've got Kansas City abortionist. He lost his medical license after photos surfaced that showed blood-stained carpets in procedure rooms, reused surgical equipment, and they stored the employees' lunches in the same refrigerator they stored aborted baby remains. So, yeah, I'm not eating that lunch.
Yeah.
Bring your sack lunch.
Grab the wrong tub, yeah.
But, this isn't something that's just, this is so vulgar, but like mom and pop chop shops. It's not just happening, and you'll find Operation Rescue highlights a lot of these like small, one single owner type abortion clinics. But even at Planned Parenthood, in the same year that the Gosnell stuff was happening, the Rhode Island Planned Parenthood was shut down for a week. You want to know why? This is crazy.
Tell me why.
It was shut down because they weren't cleaning their instruments. They had to make $10,000 a week or something like that in abortions. And I'm probably really bad at remembering the exact number. But so they were trying to push women through so fast that they were putting the tools in the autoclave machine. So the autoclave machine has like 3 different phases, and the last phase is to dry the tools, right? And that's the final sanitary phase, because if it's still wet, there can still be bacteria in the water, so it has to be. So they had to, it was too slow. The autoclave machine was too slow for how fast they were putting these women up on the table. So they were taking them out of the machine before they were done being sterilized, throwing them in the freezer, just enough to cool them down so that they could take them back out and use them on the next patient.
I mean, if they really cared about women, they might have wanted to invest in a second autoclave machine or more tools.
I mean, there's so many options there. But, I mean, like I said, it's interesting how there's this one face you see. And then I totally believe there's a lot of misplaced compassion when it comes to abortion. I don't think people are evil people, and I hope that you can hear my heart on that. But I think there is a lot of evil in it.
Yeah.
And, they're saying they're doing good things, but if doing good things is by having a dirty clinic or cutting corners and, harming your health or stealing money from Medicaid and from, people in poverty who really need that kind of help, then that's not real help. I know.
This is really bumming me out.
I'm sorry. Well, let's see though. There's a lot of great places people can go.
Yeah.
I mean, the abortion industry has betrayed women, but there are a lot of great places out there that are doing the opposite. The abortion industry says you can't do it. You can't be a mom. You'll be in poverty forever. You can't have the job you want, or you can't finish school. But then you've got this whole host of other people who are saying the exact opposite. So we've got pregnancy resource centers all across the country offering women resources, training, parenting training, tools, good referrals for doctors to help them. Some of the doctors help at their own dime, and then you've got great groups on our college campuses through our Pregnant on Campus initiative who are throwing baby showers for moms on campus, providing them with resources, walking them through, giving them scholarships. Some of our student groups have scholarships for these women and saying, guess what, you can do it. Not saying it's going to be easy, but you can do it, and I can walk with you through it. And so betrays women, helps women, empowers women.
Yeah.
The abortion industry betrays women, and the pro-life movement empowers women. Yay. That's the moral of the story today.
Yeah. All right, so
questions.
Q&A.
Hey everyone, my name is Jane and I'm the New England Regional Coordinator here at Students for Life of America. Today's question comes from Elijah, and the question is, what is the best response you've heard to bodily autonomy arguments? Now, these arguments are really interesting, and the thrust of the matter in a bodily autonomy argument, it's not really so much proving that there are two distinct people present in the case of pregnancy, because that would kind of fall more into the realm of science. And in fact, most pro-choice people instinctively know that there are two people present. So Josh Brahm from the Equal Rights Institute points out that for many pro-choice people, it's not a matter of establishing the biological otherness of the fetus, because for them it doesn't matter that the fetus is a separate, other living human being. Now, why is that? Well, it's because for them, there's something more important at stake, namely the importance of a woman's right to decide what she's going to do with her sovereign zone. So we can see that this is a more philosophically nuanced position, which asserts that a woman's body is kind of like a sovereign zone in which she has the ultimate right to do whatever she wants to do. I think one of the best ways to proceed with this kind of conversation is to start searching for some common ground. Find something that you can both agree on that a woman doesn't have the right to do with her body, and then you can start analyzing why that is the case. Now, sometimes you might have to use a pretty extreme example to get to that common ground. Josh Brahm uses the example of thalidomide, which is a drug that used to be prescribed to pregnant women to help with morning sickness until doctors discovered that it led to severe fetal deformities. So you can ask the other person, do you think a woman has the right to take thalidomide when she's pregnant, even if she knows what the consequences will be? You could even take it a step further and ask, does she have the right to intentionally deform a fetus? After all, she would be doing something that falls in her sovereign zone. So ask really good questions, find that common ground, and then use the common ground to help the other person think through their own position.
Oh, so we have another question. It is abortion really legal for any reason whatsoever? And so there's actually a companion case to Roe v. Wade. So Roe v. Wade basically decriminalized abortion across the country. But another case was also heard, and it was Doe versus Bolton.
Bolton, yeah.
Do you want to talk about what it said?
Okay, so Doe v. Bolton basically said that a woman can get an abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy for any health reasons. And that includes
psychological issues. So if she feels like it would make her depressed or overwhelmed, and that really, when you say health includes psychological things, which I agree, psychological things do fall under health,
Right.
but it really opens the door up to being able to create any kind of reason whatsoever. So it's almost like it opened the door so wide that technically, no. But in reality, in how it works, the answer is yes.
Yeah. All right.
All right, let me read it out. If you could write the law however you saw fit, how would you enforce a ban on abortion? For example, in El Salvador, when women come to hospitals seeking treatment for a miscarriage, they can be detained until a forensic vagina investigator can arrive and perform an exam to see if they had an illegal abortion. Would you have something like this? If not, what enforcement mechanism would you have? So it's actually kind of fascinating on many levels. I didn't know they did that in El Salvador. If we had a ban in the US on abortion, how would we write the law? I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not exactly sure, honestly, how I would write the law. But I definitely see when you're talking about like culpability, for instance, the doctor has more culpability in the abortion than I feel like the woman does. So I would definitely write a law that was heavy on punishing doctors who perform illegal abortions, just like we punish doctors who perform any illegal type surgery or, and would have their medical license revoked. And possibly because this involves the ending of another human being's life, I would consider writing in jail time for that as well. For a woman, I just feel like there's less culpability.
Yeah. So, like, if a woman comes in and she says she has a miscarriage, she's presumed innocent until proven guilty. I mean, like, a doctor would be able to see, oh, yeah, there's clearly signs of something going on here. Clearly in El Salvador, they sent in the forensic vagina investigator.
Yeah, I'm not a high recommender of that pathway for the United States. But I think a doctor, when they go in and they examine a woman, they can tell with a miscarriage, like, what's the condition of the cervix, and if there was any kind of trauma or forcing open of the cervix, because if you were performing an abortion, you'd have to physically open the cervix, where if you're having a miscarriage, there'd be no outward trauma. So I understand why they have an investigator. It kind of makes sense, but I think like a regular doctor could figure that out. I don't think you need a specialist for that. But again,
and we don't need to detain them until...
No, innocent. They'd be innocent, unless there was something that was like, oh my gosh, this is a distinct sign of abortion. But again, a woman, I just feel like is less culpable.
What happens if Roe V Wade were to be overturned? All that happens, abortion doesn't become illegal. All that happens is now it's up to the states to decide. Basically what Roe V Wade did was it made it so the federal entity just came in there and said, we're going to make this happen. And now if you get rid of Roe V Wade, all that really happens is now the states all decide what happens. So